can put it right here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
He's got to be able to.
And I'll go ahead. I guess I don't know if will I be able to get back and cut it on, or should I just go ahead and start it running now?
I'll probably start it now.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Yeah, done like a little one of these things.
Right
oh,
under.
this is where y'all put
Yeah,
this.
right
Good
under
work.
here.
Good work.
Yeah, they're coming up now, so. Oh, shoot.
We need to start at?
Hmm?
You need a tape ready then?
No, yeah.
You're good?
Mayor, about this shifting of silvering of sand?
Good afternoon. We were able to survey some of the damage in and around Pensacola. I want to thank the Coast Guard for being with us and taking us around. I also want to thank the other officials that are here, CFO Jimmy Petronas, Mayor of Pensacola, Congressman Gates, Lieutenant Governor, for all that they're doing. The hurricane is past Florida. But we are going to continue to see impacts in different parts of Northwest Florida because of the sheer amount of water that's been dumped all across the southeast. So even as it moves through states north of us, just remember that widespread river flooding is ongoing, and it could continue over the next weeks in different parts of Florida. Obviously, our first concern has been to protect life and keep people safe. As of this moment, we don't have reports of any fatalities in Florida related to the storm, which we're thankful for. The state has activated over 500 National Guard soldiers. We have helicopters, high water vehicles. They've already performed more than 100 rescues. Of course, you've also had local first responders that have done many rescues as well, and they've done a great job. We also have our Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission with 50 Special Operation Group members deployed. They've made rescues of 20 individuals thus far. We have Florida Highway Patrol troopers on site. Urban search and rescue teams from around the state have been deployed here, and we've also sent 43 ambulances in the area to support 911 operations. And so I want to thank everyone that's been a part of that. Obviously, as issues come up with anyone's safety, they're going to be there and able to respond, and being safe is the number one thing. If you're in an area that still has standing water, be very careful of that. Don't try to drive through high water. Understand that power lines could be down in it as well. Power, though, is a major initiative and a priority at this point. At the peak of the storm, we had 250,000 homes that had power disconnected. So far, the utility companies have been able to restore power to 40,000 of those homes, and they do have crews here working. They're going to be working 24/7 to be able to get the power back on. So we're working closely with those power companies. What I've asked the Florida Highway Patrol as well as the Florida Department of Transportation to do is to make sure they have the ability to get into the places that they need. You know, there's some parts of Northwest Florida. I know I-10, I think over in Okaloosa, there was water cresting. And so you're seeing different challenges regarding to getting around different areas. Sometimes they have to limit the lanes. Just understand, if you're somebody that is just kind of going out to drive, now may not be the best time to do that. It's really slowing down being able to get all the utility trucks where they need to be. But I've asked Florida Highway Patrol, I've asked Department of Transportation, do whatever you need to do to get those trucks in because we want to get power on as expeditiously as possible. It's some of these are not easy to do, particularly if you have flooding and the way it can impact some of these lines. So we believe time is of the essence to get everyone in. Our Division of Emergency Management here is deploying more than 200 generators of all sizes, some for things like traffic lights, others assist with big multi-story buildings. We also have 100 pumps deployed into impacted areas to assist with power outages and flooding. We're also deploying 50 trucks with light towers to support power restoration and traffic movement during the overnight hours. You know, some of these, I asked one of the power companies that, yeah, it seems like because it wasn't as windy, we don't see as many down power lines. But actually, some of the power lines are in wooded areas, so even small trees and limbs can bring down some of these lines. So when you're doing that around the clock, you really do need to have those light towers. Also, we have had one assisted living facility in Santa Rosa County without power, and we're assisting with the evacuation of 85 residents to a sister facility. This is the only medical facility currently requiring evacuation. We did have one one hospital's off-site emergency department and 47 long-term care facilities do have the generators, and obviously that's state law that you have a generator on site. We're also making sure that people have food, water, and shelter. The Florida Division of Emergency Management has deployed 972,000 bottles of water, 179,000 meals. The water will be key as 3 boil water notices have been issued by the Ocean System in Okaloosa County, Emerald Coast Utilities in Escambia County, Panama City, Fountain Avenue, and Bay County. Mobile feeding kitchens are being set up now, will be up and running tomorrow. So far, 9 general county shelters have been open and 5 non-congregate hotel shelters. All of these shelters have adequate PPE, and the system is working to keep people safe in light of the ongoing COVID-19 epidemic. Transportation, the Florida Department of Transportation has closed 6 bridges for safety. The 3 Mile Bridge has a significant section missing, and several barges and other large debris are in the waterways that may impact other bridges. A section of I-10 near Crestview has also closed due to flooding. FDOT mobilized bridge inspection teams and is performing rapid inspections and push operations. We want all bridges, of course, open, but we want it to be done safely. We do have the Secretary of Transportation in Florida looking at the damage, particularly the 3 Mile Bridge. We understand how important that is for folks getting to and from different parts of Escambia County, and so it's a priority. At the same time, there's some structural damage, and so it makes it a little bit more challenging when you may have to rebuild major parts of the bridge. And so he's going to look at that, his team, provide an assessment, and what I'd like to do is tell him, go as fast as you can to get it going, but then also just let the people here know, here's the time frame that we're looking at, and we don't necessarily know what the time frame will be right now. We're also having our Department of Education work with schools that are impacted so that they can figure out the best way to make up for lost time. We've also have, through the Department of Economic Opportunity, the Business Damage Assessment Survey to allow businesses to report those impacts. We are here as a state to support Northwest Florida, and I can tell you, having spoken with the White House and members of FEMA, Homeland Security, the federal government's going to be here helping as well. They already are. The Coast Guard's done a lot already. So we have all hands on deck. We want to make sure to continue to keep people safe, rescues if needed, get that power back on, and then of course we're going to look at the damage, the people that may have lost homes. We want to get them to a safe place. Continue to watch the local news, listen to the local officials as new advisories may come out, and of course be careful around the standing water. It can be very, very hazardous. And make sure you document any damage that you have, household items, if there's anything that's been damaged in your home, the structure of the home, have that documented so that if you go to file the claim, you have the information and you can get compensated. Go to floridadisaster.org for more information on the storm. For the latest updates, follow at FLCERT on Twitter or go to floridadisaster.org. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir. So the question is the owner of the barges, was there negligence involved? Yeah, the FDOT is looking into that. Look, I think that particularly after Ivan, I think people understood that this was something that you needed to take care of. I think the issue is we were looking at, or the National Hurricane Center was projecting a Mississippi impact, and we got a wobble to the east, and that obviously had greater impacts for Pensacola. My view is even though the state was following that same forecast, the Department of Emergency Management had people ready because you can't be sure when it's that close that it's not going to impact you. And so all these things that were staged in the hopes that it wouldn't have a direct impact. And of course we did, and so they're there. But I'd much rather have precautions taken and then not have to use whatever resources. So I think in this situation, it's probably a belief that it wasn't necessary. And whether that was done appropriately or not, I think people will look at it. But clearly, it's done a lot of damage. And And I think if you live in some of those areas and not have access to that bridge, it's going to be very difficult for people to get around. Yes, sir. So the question is about the assisted living facility. So they've been transferred to a facility that is a sister facility that's related. I'm not exactly sure which one. We can have ACA or the Department of Health provide that exact information. It's definitely challenging with COVID because folks in long-term care facilities are the most at risk for significant complications from COVID-19. Now, fortunately, we've been testing all the staff members, bi-weekly. They've obviously got PPE. They have a lot of resources now at their disposal. Federal government's provided over $100 million to different types of elder care facilities. And so it does make it more challenging, but I think this is something that they've been dealing with for a long time. And so I think they have the tools that they need to be able to handle it safely. Yes, sir. Sure. Well, I think in some ways it could be misleading. I mean, there were definitely areas where you still had a lot of standing water, like down in Perdido Key. You kind of had homes and it was just water. It was almost like the home was an island. But there were other areas where you didn't really see any standing water. So from the bird's eye view, you think, well, maybe they didn't get damaged. The problem with that is the water comes up, it really can damage the home, and then it may have already receded. So there may have been some of those homes we were going over where we didn't see any standing water, but you may have had really significant damage. And so I think you're going to have to really just get boots on the ground to get the to full impact of what happened. Clearly, there were definitely still some areas where it was obvious that you had some major flooding. There were other areas which, from the bird's eye view, I don't think probably did full justice to the actual damage that we saw inside the homes. I mean, when these things go, it comes and it does recede, but if you have a foot of water inside your house, the damage doesn't just recede. I mean, the damage stays there, and I'll bet you're going to see that in different parts of both the Escambia and Santa Rosa counties as people start to look more and more at this. But we are now going to go to have a meeting at the Emergency Operations Center. We've been in contact with all the local leaders, from the beginning, and we'll continue to work. I don't know if we're going to, I think the FEMA administrator may be here in a day or two. Hopefully some other federal officials will be here as well. And we just want to be able to move forward in the way that's most helpful. But I would just remind people, we are seeing different parts of Northwest Florida water rising in some of these rivers, and you're likely to continue to see that for the next couple days. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you're safe as you're going about your business. Yes, ma'am.
WEAR TV, is the state bringing any additional gasoline fuel to the area?
So the questions about gasoline, there have been gas lines at some places, but it's not really been because of a shortage of fuel. It's more because some of the gas stations don't have power. That said, the Director Moskowitz is bringing in some fuel from Louisiana just to make sure that the gas stations have what they need. But I think it's more of a power generation issue. When you get the power on, then I think that a lot of those gas stations do have fuel and people will be able to pump it. But if you don't have the power to pump it, then having all that gas in your tanks at the gas station is not doing the motorists any good. So really the power, I think, is going to be the key, but there is some fuel coming over from Louisiana as well. All right, thanks everybody.
Governor, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Oh, I wanted to introduce you to council member.
Oh.